Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Precious Roy Home Shopping Network. I'm Sifel, and Ollie is going to do this right today. Ollie.
Nice weather we've been having, huh, folks?
Very nice.
If you're like me, you're thinking, what the hell's going on with our planet? Earthquakes, floods, firestorms, tornadoes. We don't even have seasons anymore. Volcanoes are popping up like strip malls. California fell off the damn country last week, Sifel, and our ozone's just a joke. We better hurry up and build Earth 2 in outer space because Mother Nature is seriously ticked off. Our planet is a dangerous dying sphere.
Okay, sorry, folks. What Ollie's trying to get at is today's product, and it's this Precious Roy disaster suit. It's a stylish suit designed to help you survive through any natural disaster. Hey, Ollie. Hey, you know the problems I've been having with natural disasters.
You're doomed.
Oh, man.
But this suit has it all. The edible shirt is made of a 50-50 blend of polyester and crackers. The inflatable shoes, you think those pump-up sneakers of yours are going to keep you afloat when the tidal wave comes knocking at your door? Yeah, right. The first aid wallet includes a Band-Aid, a needle and thread, and a photo of a friendly doctor to comfort you. This stylish suit is equipped with volcano-proof pants, a 50-50 blend of polyester and asbestos. They never need ironed. And finally, the water purification briefs, which will naturally filter your urine back into crystal clear drinking urine. Let's take some calls.
Help me! How do I use these things?
Which of America's disasters are you suffering from?
I got locusts. They're everywhere. They ate my crops. They're swarming all over this damn cracker shirt.
I know. I'm sorry. Next call.
Hi, Sifel and Ollie. I love this Precious Roy disaster suit. It's so stylish. I wear it every Friday night at the club.
Every Friday night, so you gotta wear it 24 hours a day.
Well, I just like the way it looks.
Sir, what do you do for a living?
I'm the Dark Master, ruler of the underworld.
That's an honorable profession. Let's talk to Precious Roy.
This is Precious Roy, and I like to pet the leather couches.
No, Precious Roy, what about the disaster suit?
Buy my locust costumes.
What?
Suckers!
Precious Roy, making lots of suckers out of girls and boys.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I was just talking to my friend Chris Aiken from Strung Out. He's going on tour with Bad Religion. I can't wait to see that show. Hey, Heidi Kuda, Jim Stewartson, High Fidelity, I am reporting live from the Firestorm. I am climate refugee 1,712, reporting live for duty. I am my mother has evacuated to my home, so we may get some Oma sightings. Yeah, it's real here, and that was masterful, High Fidelity. By the way, congratulations. Jim, it's great to see you. It's been at least, a day. I got to hang out with Jim this week, and yeah, it's real. The pre-inauguration apocalypse has begun. And Jim, do you want to, take it away, or do you want me to just keep rambling? I got some stories.
All I have to say is I cannot get the phrase "crystal clear drinking urine" out of my head.
I'm thinking about the volcanic pants.
I just want everyone to know something. Right? That is Syphil and Ollie. That is Syphil and Ollie from I believe it was 80s, 90s MTV.
Yeah.
But a little known fact: Syphil and Ollie was actually created in Akron, Ohio.
I was gonna say it's got to be an OHIO reference.
Had to be something in there.
Yeah.
Also, good call on the Bad Religion song, although it's needless to say, very bittersweet.
Yeah.
A little too prophetic.
I'm a good 20 miles from these things, and like everything, it's just orange coming through all the window. Just the sky is just fucked up, and it's just it's horrible, and just enormous, huge parts of Los Angeles gone. I mean, gone. Like nuclear bomb level gone, and it really, really sucks.
Yeah, but it's really great that the incoming administration is not weaponizing it in any way and is being so helpful. I mean, it's just obviously I'm being sarcastic, but
I was going to say that smells like sarcasm.
So just a quick story. I wrote a little bit about it today because I've been hearing from people all over the world. I am in the area that, keeps on getting, evacuation notices. Be prepared, be prepared. My sister was having dinner at a restaurant, and this part is humorous. Kevin Bacon's in a table right next to her. The restaurant gets evacuated.
Sure, it was Kevin Bacon.
The restaurant gets evacuated.
The
restaurant gets evacuated and then burns down. And then she takes her friend home, and her friend's house burns down. And I cannot tell you how many people I know personally who have lost everything. When I was a campaign manager in 2022, one of the areas that the district areas that my candidate was representing was the Palisades. And not only did the church burn down, where a weekly writers meeting that I went to for many years was hosted, but a lot of people who worked really hard for my candidate lost everything. And it's we know we have fires and mudslides here. We know about this, but this is a whole other level, as bad as it's ever been. And I can't help but use my old joke, like, because it's being so weaponized by the fascist regime, I keep thinking, is Robert Mercer handing out matchsticks again to exacerbate it? It's
I just wanted to say that a special fuck you to Patrick Soon-Shiong of the Los Angeles Times, who immediately started lying about the mayor.
Yeah.
Claiming that she cut the fire department budget when she actually increased it a lot. But because there was an intransigent people on the board, she had to move some money around. But Patrick Soon-Shiong, the fucking South African oligarch, and God, it's weird that these
weird
oligarchs keep popping up, who bought the Los Angeles Times, while I knew him, unfortunately, and has just turned into a fucking another one to Rupert Murdoch or one of these guys. He wants to be one of these little mini oligarchs in Los Angeles. So I am saying to all my Los Angeles friends, dump the LA Times. It's going to get turned into the shittiest part of the Wall Street Journal or whatever. It's going to be fucking garbage. And, you know, if anybody's a Lakers fan out there, he owns a sizable chunk of it, and you might want to let the ownership know that, you know, this fucking asshole who is going after our own city you know, should not be, you know, the front man for our any of our institutions.
Yes, this is a part where I bring up Putin's kleptocracy again, because we have seen this billionaire oligarch thief activity over and over again, and coming to a city near you. I worked I was a freelance columnist for the LA Times for 15 years, and it's never easy to do anything in print. You're always like overworked, underpaid. It's really hard. But I look back now and I realize like that was the last gasp for the print, you know, newspapers in any form. And now what we have is a media that has betrayed the people for many, many years. And any journalist with their, you know, with any salt is no longer working for corporate or billionaire controlled media. Come over and join the independents. The water is warm and the truth is loud, and we share it among ourselves. And I'm really grateful to be an independent in a time of grave, grave peril, and to be independently supported by my readers and our viewers. That's quite a feat. And that is the world we live in. If we want to speak truth to power, we can't have corporate shackles. And Jim and I do our own Substacks, and RadPod does its own thing, and we will continue to do so until further notice. But, you know, yeah, here we are, man. Wow. Just 10 days away from the decapitation strike. And you already see the alignments, the way that Trump has referred to our governor in California is, you know, absolutely not shocking, but truly venal, and what you would expect from, you know, a Putin asset in America in 2025.
I mean, look, I'm going to say this, and people may have heard it, but they're trying to create a North American empire.
Yeah.
They want subservient colonies. Literally, they want a feudalist colonial empire across all of North America. And, you know, you don't have to believe Blue Anon over here, who was saying it, you know, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Believe them. Like, they're showing you maps of it. It's literally like the United States of, you know, or the Gulf of America and all of this stuff, right? Threatening, you know, Greenland, who, by the way, is a territory of Denmark, who is a NATO ally. So we're talking about attacking NATO. And what's that? That's World War III. That's the real World War III that they want. Because guess what? I'm going to, one more time. These people want to carve up the planet. They want to carve up the earth into sections so that they can do whatever the hell they want. In Elon Musk's case, it's to create a giant gas station for his Mars rockets. This guy's crazy as fuck. And if you don't know this yet, like, he's really, really fucking crazy. And I don't mean crazy in like an insane way.
Yeah.
He's a deviant psychopath.
Yeah.
Not actually that smart, but incredibly cruel and deviant and bizarre. And, you know, I have been chronicling this guy a lot. And most recently, he gave this talk to a former Democrat named Mark Penn, this interview. And dude was just talking. He was giving all of the talking points from his favorite science fiction novels.
Yeah.
But and I mean that literally. If you haven't seen my stuff, like, he's literally named by a Nazi rocket scientist.
Yeah.
It's crazy shit. But last night he gets on this thing and he just starts talking about how he's going to have 500,000 humanoid robots in 3 years, and he's going to start calling them his legions, the Roman legions of robots. And he says it's going to be the biggest product of all time, and there are going to be 20 to 30 billion humanoid robots. That's the start. Then he says again that we must get to Mars, and they have to be sustainable. They have to be able to live all by themselves in case Earth, for whatever reason, explodes. I don't know why the Earth would explode or not. But every fucking thing that comes out of this guy's mouth. And then he had one other. The other thing is, of course, the chip. So he said out loud that human bandwidth is too low. You see, we only give so many bits every day, and all you have to do is put his fucking chip in your brain to increase the awesomeness of your experience. He said this, and he said that we would become superhumans. And my favorite part was, he said, "Trust me, you'll like the chip. I guarantee it." Like he's selling a fucking TV set, like, or you know, like the extended warranty,
or volcano pants,
or some shit. And I'm just like,
he's Precious fucking Roy.
Do you hear yourself? No, nobody wants to be connected to your fucking weird shit. What is going on? But the thing is, right? And that comes from a specific thing. It comes from Ian M. Banks' The Culture novels. And you can look this up, where you're connected to an AI, and it's called the neural lace, which is what he calls his technology at Neuralink. He's just literally copying the sci-fi shit and getting smart people to like do their best with his crazy fucking ideas.
Yeah.
But the problem is that this guy is he lives at Mar-a-Lago. He's attached to Donald Trump. He brings his little human shield with him on his shoulders all the time. And every single person that's gone through his cabinet process has been approved by the PayPal mafia.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not just some weirdo, right?
Yeah.
He's got people who have surgical shit in their head by him, by a guy who is an open Nazi apologist at minimum.
Yeah.
Right? Who has endorsed the Nazi party in Germany, goes out of his way to be as racist as possible at all fucking times. Nevertheless, this guy is about to have serious power and influence in our federal government, and it fucking defies me that, our politicians in our influencer community is talking about, how all the attacks on Panama and Greenland, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
It's a distraction from the attack. No, it's fucking not.
Yeah, they're telling us what they're going to do.
They really think this stuff. They're telling you what they want to do.
Yeah.
They're telling Greenland that if they don't, telling Denmark if they don't give us Greenland, that they're going to get tariffs. It literally just happened. Like, these people aren't fucking around, and we need to start paying attention to it. And there's my TikTok.
Yeah, man. High five.
Can we talk about? Can we talk about what a liar Elon Musk is?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Hey, if you guys are watching us on Twitter, go over to YouTube. Watch us on YouTube. Sign up on YouTube. Get off of Twitter. Anyway, Elon Musk is a liar. We just did an entire program about it with Sian Norris. the lies that Elon is spreading about groomer gangs in the UK from a decade ago, ignoring current groomer gangs that contain young white men, attacking Keir Starmer. I don't know, man. The whole thing's mind blowing. Elon Musk is a billionaire liar. He's a setup. He's a Russian agent, and he's a sexual predator, and he needs to get gone.
It's more than yes, and it's more than lying, right? Because that whole groomer gang thing is very specifically designed.
Yeah.
It's ISIS.
Yeah.
It's Pizzagate, right? It's the same thing. What you do is you tell trauma stories that bring up trauma, hate, disgust, all of these emotions. And he was giving like CSAM, like disgusting, horrific descriptions of child abuse.
Yeah.
Which whoever does it, whether it's an immigrant or anyone else, it doesn't, like, you're going to have that fucking reaction if you see that. And to 211 million people, he's just putting this horrible child sex, like almost like porn, but not like just ugh.
Well, it's
giving me, it's making me sick to like fucking just think about what he posted and pinned on his profile, and he's doing that for a very specific reason. He's not just lying, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to radicalize this cult that he's developed around him to hate, to want to do violence.
Yeah.
Why are they pushing Tommy Robinson? Anybody know about this fucking guy?
Yeah.
Tommy Robinson is one of the most racist, despicable human beings who ever walked planet Earth. And you know, Elmo is out here, free Tommy Robinson. He's telling the truth about the groomer gangs. No, actually, he's in prison for a specific reason, because he went after some child who didn't do anything. A child who did nothing at all and was absolutely tortured by his fellow students, his neighbors, everyone, tortured. Because that guy wouldn't shut up about him. He's the Alex Jones of England, except he does it with racism instead of Sandy Hook.
He's convicted of violent.
He's in prison.
Violence.
Yeah,
he's in prison for contempt of court. The guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. So anyway, speaking of being in prison, I thank you for that. Passionate telling. Hi-Fi has been saying for years, before anybody was talking about it, what a problem Elon Musk is. We now can see it's all out in the open. The EU is accelerating their investigation into him. He is interfering in elections globally. As Jim said many years ago, this is the Twitter being the biggest radicalization engine in history. As Hi-Fi said many years ago, it was a $40 billion PSYOP cannon. And so, and for me, who studies history and reports on important fascist tropes and narratives from history, the weaponization of the racist news, the racist propaganda. In some cases, there will be an element of truth or something that actually happened, and that gets weaponized and exploited to create fear and to create this noisy mob. In the run-up to the Nazis taking power in Germany, they actually created fake stories around soldiers that were guarding the Rhineland for the French, and used this fear of the white women being attacked by Black soldiers. And so, we saw Trump and JD Vance and their Haitian immigrants, animal cat eating stories. It's like, it's on and on and on, all designed to warp people's minds away from their own democracy toward these oligarchs who mean nothing good for humanity. As Hi-Fi has said for many years as well, this is a class war. And at least some countries are getting wise to what needs to happen with these billionaires when we're seeing arrests and investigations. And I'm, very, very pleased that the EU at least is taking this very, very seriously. as we proved a few episodes ago. We're a decade into World War III. It just looks different from other wars. But yes, let's show a clip. Sian Norris and I reported together for many years. She's an incredible investigative reporter and a feminist author who wrote the book Bodies Under Siege, which documents how misogyny is weaponized and how it ramps up during times of authoritarian capture. So let's hear from Sian. She writes for Open Democracy. She has a story dropping tomorrow about these grooming gang lies that Musk is spreading and the American network that is spreading them. And oh my God, doesn't it look a lot like the network from 2016 that was doing the same shit to install a Putin agent into the highest position of power in America? Let's hear the.
Sort of towards the end of December, Musk started posting about grooming gangs in the UK and accusing the Prime Minister Keir Starmer of being responsible for what Musk called the rape of Britain, and calling Jess Phillips, the safeguarding minister who has dedicated her entire career to fighting men's violence against women and girls, a rape genocide apologist. And it's been incredibly shocking, just really, really horrible to see the weaponization of sexual abuse of girls by the far right in order to sort of push a kind of conspiracist disinformation agenda. And what's been really interesting for me to witness and to analyze is how Musk's interventions on this issue have been picked up by the wider far right. So the British far right activist Tommy Robinson has become really active again in talking about these grooming gangs, in trying to make false claims about Labour and left-wing complicity in grooming gangs. And we've also seen a real intervention from US far-right voices and influencers in this issue, which again is something that they don't seem to know very much about. It's something that they're really taking their cues off from Musk. And it's a really clear example of the sort of network nature of them. They take these conspiracies, they take these tropes, and they share them across these international networks in order to foster discontent with democracy, in order to undermine trust in governments, in the rule of law, in the criminal justice system, and in order to push the.
Boom, boom. Yeah, I mean, Musk is on is part of a I don't want to say conspiracy, an agreement, right? I called it the big trade between Elon Musk, the Musk-Trump Reich, which is coming in, and Putin, right?
Right.
And Musk is going to do everything in his power to help Putin basically take over Europe, because that's what Putin wants. Putin wants Eurasia. He wants to reconstitute the Soviet Union and the Russian, even more, the Russian Empire, with Moscow as the third Rome. Look up Dugin or whatever. That's what he wants. And so Musk and Trump and Thiel and all of these fucking oligarchs over here couldn't give a crap about America. They don't care. It's America means absolutely nothing to them. They came here, 25 years ago, and were like, ooh, a giant pile of goodies. Let me see if I can steal it. And they did. And they don't care. They just don't care, right? So what Musk has been trying to do systematically, right? He went out to Trudeau, and now Trudeau had to step down. Got behind Polyev, behind the AFD, just had a space with the head of the AFD to push her literal Nazi agenda, and these things are, and also his attacking Zelensky and Ukraine and getting behind all of that stuff. He is a fully engaged part of this idea, which is that let's give Russia, Europe to Putin, and their excuse is, well, they're all kind of white people anyway. So, really it's better for Russia to be in control, right? That's literally how they think. And the big sticking point is China, but we could put that aside for now. Half of them want to go to war with China, and half of them want to do business with China.
Right.
But we're going to leave him. We're going to leave Xi alone for now. But the trade-off is that Putin will support this North American empire, and it's not a joke. That's why if you listen to Russian state media, and shout out as I often do to
Julia Davis, yep.
You know, you will see that they are fully on board. They love it. They think it's amazing. They absolutely think that you know, hey, give them Greenland, that's cool, and we're just gonna, you know, slowly take over Eastern Europe, and you know, we still haven't sort of internalized that these people they don't see the world like we do. They don't see the post WW2 world order as something desirable, much less permanent, right?
Yeah.
But they see it as an impediment to them doing their weird brain Mars shit, right? Or whatever is in their particular like universe that they've created for themselves.
Right. Yeah, well, Jim, I am very grateful that you do the work that you do. And shout out to our friend Tom Hartman, who platforms reporters like Jim and reporters like me, because we can really use a boost in getting our work out, because you're not finding this kind of reporting in corporate media. You're just not. Nobody's putting this together. I don't know. You know, yes,
you mean the billionaire owned
yes
media? Is
yeah,
that
I
who
know.
you're referring to? Yeah.
But I mean, I think
Funny
because America had a long and rich history back in the day when there were still mom and pop newspapers, and I worked for one. I actually found some of my old clips from the Point Reyes Light in 1985, you know, cover stories on feral pigs and cults that moved into the community. We used to really, I know that I got into reporting back when I was in college, like, you know, firefighters and cops, like you wanted to do a service, and just it's what people who were good at writing often did. And I am not on Twitter much anymore, because I'm not going to go through that again, where I'm sitting there on Twitter 12 hours a day telling the media what it's not getting right. Like, I'm not doing that anymore, because clearly they have failed America, and they marched us toward fascism in their normalization and in their Vichy reporting. But when I did go onto Twitter briefly yesterday, I use it to still see what my allies are reporting and to post some of my work. I found a super weird campaign against me, fake quotes that I never said, memes created around these fake quotes, and all this fake outrage. The references were
okay, hold on, Heidi.
Yes.
Well, we have to. It's so funny. It's so funny to me because it is so obvious that it is like paid Nigerian trolls.
That's what it appears to be.
African centric. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's obviously some like.
It feels like if Wagner was still like in Africa doing his thing, which it probably is. Yeah, but anyway, it happened
under a different name, right? Because
every time it happens, I take a breath. I remember it happens because I am continuing to do work which I feel is relevant. But I see my friend Jim yesterday, and he's like, it's like a badge of honor. And I was like, man, Jim, that's exactly what I needed to hear. You know, it's always a bit jarring, but I've been doing this work for 8 years by now. And if you don't know my voice and what I wouldn't say, then that's okay. You know, move along. So anyway,
look, if some you know Nigerian troll account is, you know, spreading stuff about you, then somebody gives enough of a shit to, you know, pay some troll farm somewhere, right? Yeah. There's no organic like anti-Heidi Kuda. Like, I mean, I don't think.
I think the best one was the one where Heidi supposedly insulted someone in Ghana, and I just called Heidi. I'm like, Heidi, you don't even know anyone in Ghana. Like,
Yeah. Hey, listen. What I look at it like Putin
I
must be
don't know.
running out of money.
Are we breaking news here, Heidi? Do you have a problem with the Ghanese?
No, I don't.
hey,
are they
my
Ghanaians or
database professor was Ghanaian, and his family's.
Ghanaian? I didn't know. I was asking. Ghanaian.
Hey, Enoch, if you're out there in Akron, love you, bro. Say hi to mom.
I know, as you guys know, I love everybody, and anybody who is taking money to do such soul-sucking work. I feel bad for you. I do. That whatever turn in life happened, that's where you ended up. That sucks. But anyway, I bring it up because we know when Jim said this is the biggest radicalization engine in history, and we know that the blue check operation was very effective because all these people that were having this fake conversation were all blue checks. And I bring it up also because recently Mark Zuckerberg made a decision that I think is only going to, I don't know, sort of accelerate the Orwellian future in the West. But Jim, why don't you talk about that or high five?
Can I just bring up the Dana White thing? You know, the guy who is on video hitting his wife in a club has joined the board of Facebook. Anyway, Jim, please go on with Facebook's content moderation decisions.
Well,
this is the part where I sip tea and try not to spit it up. You guys make me laugh.
What?
Damn it.
Just being weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
Jim.
What did you look, Dana White basically replaced. Oh my God! How can you not?
Oh my God!
How can you not be ready on the button?
Hey, Faye.
If Peter Thiel was on the board, and then
oh hi, thanks for checking in. I'm
no. It's all ruined.
I'm delayed, man.
We're heading into Peter Thiel land, and you weren't ready, and
It's all right.
Well, I think we should talk about more than just Peter Thiel, because Peter Thiel
obviously, but that's where it was going. Anyway.
Oh.
So Mark Zuckerberg sold his soul to the extent he ever had one to Peter Thiel for $500,000 in the year 2004. When Mark Zuckerberg had, actually himself stolen a website, which was basically a copy of Hot or Not, but for college. If you don't remember Hot or Not, it was like, here's a chick. Is she a 1 through 10? And then everybody laughs because you guessed wrong or whatever. It was super, dumb, objectifying, but viral. Anyway, so that was that. In Peter Thiel's head, though, he looked at that and thought, why don't we take this and make the largest surveillance and psychological behavior modification system to ever exist on planet Earth? And lo and behold, you sprinkle in a few billion Russian dollars, and that's important because it was Russian money came in from Peter Thiel at a $20 billion valuation somehow. How the fuck that happened in like 2 years? But all of a sudden, the Russians were like, ooh, let's put billions and billions of dollars in here. And then it turned into, basically Palantir's kind of net. So if you know what Palantir is, that's Peter Thiel's sort of legal psyops and surveillance company that's all in our defense systems and all kinds of shit. Anyway, so we're I don't even know where I was going with that. We're growing into
yeah.
Hold on.
Wait, Zuckerberg. I'll land. So Zuckerberg says the other day, I think that fact checkers are too woke. Really, literally, I feel that we have gone too far and that the discourse now has changed in America. And so we're no longer going to have fact checkers. We're going to have community notes like X. And he specifically mentioned X. Yeah. And, a lot of people have sort of brought up a bunch of different things that were foiled by Facebook's moderation services, and a bunch that weren't. So, it's not like they were they were burning things up, but at least they took care of, you know, some very basic stuff. And no longer. So it's just going to be, he's literally said, you know, it's going to be X now. Yeah. So you can now go get your racism and anything else. You can call transgender people it. You can call gay people mentally ill. You can do all of the things that I thought, you know, had finally been sort of beaten out of this shitty ass society. But turns out, no, not at all. It was just sort of waiting for assholes like Mark Zuckerberg to obey, you know, slightly in advance.
Right. So,
hold on, Heidi.
Yeah.
Can I
Please.
need to add three names. I need to add three names to what Jim just stated. All right, because Jim just said, "Oh, Peter Thiel and a bunch of Russian money." Very specifically, for those who would question, what do you mean Russian money? Very specifically, a Russian Israeli by the name of Yuri Milner,
That's one.
who was a bagman for the Russian oligarch Alistair Usmanov, and $2 billion found its way to Facebook from the Russian gangster who got me kicked off Twitter, Mr. Sergey Grishin. So, if you say that we don't support facts, we don't bring our details, we do anyway.
All right, and
you forgot to get
you
Go
said
Send Go
three.
in there somewhere.
You said three. You said three. What was three?
What? Yuri Milner, Alistair Usmanov. And
Oh, okay.
Sergey
He
Grishin.
was your third. Okay, so
Yes.
I'm shocked you didn't get Give Send Go in there though. Like,
so
No. A Give Send Go comes later, and that has to do with laundering money to real world operations.
Yes. So
different.
we give hi-fi shit about this, but in all seriousness, he identified Sergey Grishin, an oligarch who allegedly stole $60 billion from the Bank of Russia. But what he really did was seeded a bunch of Silicon Valley, etc., money here. And what I'm learning in reading, once again, Putin's kleptocracy, is that, FYI, the bandits of St. Petersburg, the KGB members, and whatever three-letter names they evolved into, were seeded into everything in banking and in tech, academia, every single business enterprise. They were given budget so that the money that was supposed to be spread into America. And because we never said what our friend Adam Sibera said, who is helping the Ukrainian war effort. Originally, he's from the Czech Republic, and he's helping our Ukrainian friends. He said, everybody in the West who did business with Russia in the 90s, etc., just need to say, we made a mistake and start pulling some of this shit out by the roots. But we never did that. So instead, our democracy is dead, and a person who is just another Yanukovych to Putin is getting ready to tear our country apart with other oligarchs who were actually bred from a blueprint in St. Petersburg. And America, it'd be really cool if you actually realized how dire this is and, did something other than navel gazing.
Can I just say that it is a massive failure of imagination and understanding of a threat assessment, because what we are looking at is a Russian, Chinese, and Saudi financed network that runs through Silicon Valley to create digital terrorist networks that recruit and radicalize people online to violence, to the detriment of the stability of countries. They're doing it in the UK now with the Groomer gang lies. They did it in the United States with the 2020 was stolen, right? They did it with Brexit.
I have one. So in 2016, speaking of which, just to go down this road, there's a little event that people may have, a little conspiracy theory called Pizzagate. Remember that? Pizzagate was sort of capped off, as it were, in December of 2016, when a lunatic went into Common Pizza with an AR-15 and started shooting into the walls and the floor, looking for all Hillary Clinton's kidnapped children. Now, the interesting bit is today, that guy got shot and killed by was it Connecticut? Where the fuck was it?
I forget the state, but it was the police, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a cop. Because they pulled his ass over, and he had warrants because he was a criminal, because he was brain fucked into all this stuff. And the cops pulled him over, and he pointed a gun at him, and they told him to put it down, and he didn't, and they shot him.
Wow.
And now he's dead. And
North Carolina, by the way, Jim.
Thank you. And North Carolina is where a lot of shit goes down, by the way. It's a lot of these people. Ashley Babbitt's another one, right?
Yeah.
Ashley Babbitt was an interesting, fairly normal human being before her mom got her involved in this shit, and then she was a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
Then
she was a terrorist.
And then she got what she deserved because she was a fucking terrorist in that moment. But it's important to realize that she got to be a terrorist because of a bunch of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And one of those conspiracy theories that, my dear friend Mike Flynn invented was Pizzagate, which just, arguably took this dude's life, and QAnon, which definitely took Ashley Babbitt's life, because that was the lie that she was telling back to people as she was going into the Capitol.
Yeah, and it's worth noting
the stochastic terrorism here is not just against the targets, but it's against these people who basically turn themselves into suicide bombers.
Can I tell you also one thing that we don't talk about enough, because it's so difficult to wrap our head around all of this horror, but we don't talk about enough is the people who died. And this is an example of somebody that you brought up, Jim, in previous episodes, because they believed the lies that people like Flynn and his family promoted around vaccines and this anti-vax stuff. So people who were wrapped up in the conspiracy, wrapped up in QAnon, wrapped up in anti-science and this anti-vax rhetoric, they died. People died, okay? Like hundreds of thousands of people died because their minds were hacked by these people who know the truth. They damn well know the truth, but they are radicalizing people to help destroy our country for them and for their power and their greed. And I think it's not talked about enough how many people are no longer walking on this planet because they believed those criminal lies.
I can think of at least 5 children who were unalived by their parents due to their belief in QAnon and conspiracy theories. 5 children. And these people have never been held accountable.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot more, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're not conspiracy theories. They are traumatic psychological weapons.
Right.
When you convince a person through coercion, trauma, that they are in more, well, it's not just influence. The influence is what is the byproduct, is what you get, right? But the tactics to get there are, psychological warfare that results in influence. But all of these people are being radicalized online. Every goddamn one of them. Nobody comes up with these ideas or these desires for violence on their own.
That's
not a
right.
single one of them. And for me, there's a hard truth that I think I've learned, which is that unfortunately the government has been covering up a lot of this shit for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that same government covered it up all the way through the Biden administration. They did. They fucking did. They let all the people who did January 6th go. They never went after anything like QAnon, the disinformation board that was there for a fucking week. Like, oh, Jack Posobiec tweeted, we got to get, I mean, like, what the deep state, to the extent there ever has been one, is the one that gets Democrats to roll over for this shit time after time after time. They do it to Mueller, and they would do it to Jack Smith, and we're, fucking like, I'm tired of it. Yeah. I'm tired of this kabuki. I'm tired of all this shit. I'm tired of all the Democrats who are out here saying, oh, it's a distraction from tax cuts and everything's going to be normal again. No, it's fucking not. And so, hard rain's going to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what it's going to take, right? I know what it's going to take. And it was unfortunately, there's a line in a 2014 movie. It's available on YouTube. It's called Hacker Wars. And in that movie, one of Peter Thiel's minions, a programmer named Andrew Ornheimer, says, it's going to take oceans of blood. And I'm afraid that's what it's going to take. We're going to see murder on a scale we haven't seen since World War II.
I hope you're wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too. But that's probably what's going to happen, because that's the lack of spine, the complete unaccountability, the Merrick Garlands, the Christopher Wrays, the limp noodles of our Justice Department, the people who have sworn to uphold the Constitution and defend us are doing neither. We are being led like lambs to slaughter. Sorry.
I have to concur with you, and I'm going to add the president, and to some extent, although not as much, to the vice president. The kabuki of the last several months has been just brutal. Just no recognition whatsoever of the reality of what's happening, all in favor of this. Today there was at Jimmy Carter's funeral. Jimmy Carter's my first sort of president, right? It's the first. I was late single digits, growing up, and he seemed like a good man who was trying to do good things for the world, and I looked up to this guy, right? And had an exemplary life. Had his second presidency stolen from him, as our friend Craig Unger has told many times. And at his funeral, you've got these people who have just been playing this awful game of thrones with our fucking lives, shaking hands with each other, right? And none of it felt good. None of the Democrats being there and glad handing these fucking vipers, none of the kind of cordiality felt like there's usually some like, okay, it's just democracy being democracy, and the two sides are being together in a time of mourning, and isn't that great? It didn't feel that way to me. It felt like something final. It didn't feel like the funeral for Jimmy Carter. It felt like the funeral for something much larger than that to me. And maybe that's just where my mind is, but that was sort of the net of my day.
Oh no, the timing of Carter's death, it was a kind of just a terrible like elegy for our democracy. I mean, it's
and then weird Hitler gets mad because the flags are half staff. Like it's just like, how do we find the crudest, dumbest fucking thing that we can possibly say? That's what it is. It's just like a constant desire to push these boundaries, to eliminate the desire for people to, be cordial or polite or
it's head exploding.
Yes,
edgelording,
unfortunately, I have seen a dump of what old white men are seeing on the internet in order to push them toward MAGA and Trump, which is pushing them toward Putin, etc. And it's just, it's devious. These memes are created by political technologists who know reality, know exactly what they're doing, but they are using things that trigger every misogynistic narrative, every racist narrative, feeding into this white supremacy to people who were really never that way. Maybe people were somewhat, tending one way or the other, but it is they've stolen our elders, and I cannot, I can't wait for the day. I don't know that this will ever be behind us, but I have kind of a dream that someday there is some sort of truth and reconciliation, and everybody will be faced to look just like people look at shoes, that were snatched in concentration camps. It's like I want people to
Well,
see what was being used to steal their minds. I do. People's
I,
minds
I,
have been hacked.
I,
Men
I,
aside.
I couldn't agree with you more, but unfortunately, what snap people, there are two ways to do this, right? There are a number of interventions and other ways we could go, or we could have another Holocaust.
Yeah.
And let's be clear, a lot of these guys want it. A lot of these guys think that there are giant sections of the population that are undesirable, and they are not. They do not see human beings as valuable unto ourselves as human beings. They don't have that gene, and people don't seem to grasp that there are people like this. That if they see an opportunity to eliminate millions of people, that isn't going to get them in trouble, they will fucking do it like that.
Yeah. I learned that in my studies of history. There was no downside for Stalin when he decided to mass murder millions of people. Just there was nothing done about it. So you're 100% correct. We've seen this over and over again. And one thing that we can do is get around to having some solidarity, which we do not have right now, and we desperately need it. And Sean talks about that. Let's see the last two clips from our good friend Sian Norris. This is important stuff. And this is what is used to radicalize people.
It's really important to recognize that, because nobody in criticizing what Musk is doing wants to in any way diminish or ignore the very real harms that were done to these young women and these girls. However, the sort of disinformation that we are seeing in relation to this is, first of all, this happened, this was sort of happening about a decade ago when it first hit the news, but it doesn't mean that it's not been happening still, and it doesn't mean that the legacy of abuse is not really important and goes on for years and years. However, Musk has grabbed hold of this issue sort of out of nowhere in order to try and undermine and criticize the British Labour Party. So the Prime Minister was formerly the chief prosecutor. He was the Director of Public Prosecutions in the British criminal justice system. And he had this job when the grooming gang scandal first came to light. Now, Musk and his outriders are trying to say that Starmer was, as I say, responsible for the rape of Britain, that he failed to hold these grooming gangs to account, and that in doing so, he is complicit in the abuse of these young women and these girls. This completely ignores the fact that it was Starmer who actually got the prosecutions rolling, that it was his colleague and appointee Nazim Afzal who put many of the groomers and rapists and exploiters in prison, and that Starmer, when he was at the DPP, when he was in charge of the CPS, was responsible for implementing reforms that meant the harms and failings that were done to these girls, the failure to believe them, the sort of insistence on prosecuting them for crimes when in fact they were victims. He put in reforms that tried to tackle this behavior so that victims had a better chance of justice. So you can understand how it's really, really infuriating as someone who...
You know, I need to bring this up, and I know you guys
It's
yell at me.
Darbo, right? Just briefly, Darbo, remember, is deny, attack,
reverse victim and
offender. And the whole idea is exactly what Sean is describing, which is to take the person who had that as it's a swift boating, right? What they did to John Kerry.
Yes.
Right. Keir Starmer, I'm sure he's very proud of the fact that he went after these animals, right? Instead, like, you've got the richest man in the world with 200 million weirdos behind him, thinking he's a rape apologist. It's despicable. And it's not only abusive, to him and the British people, it's abusive to women. It's abusive to the victims.
Yes,
it's abusive to everybody on the planet. For that,
I need to point something out here. The victims in the not all the victims, but a large majority are pointing out that Elon Musk is just full of it, right? They don't want him involved. And you should listen to the victim. However, I would also like to point out that the way the victims were treated by the Metropolitan Police, as Sean points out, is it's unconscionable. They were treated as criminals. They were not believed. They were dismissed simply because they were working class, teenagers. I would also like to point out that in Florida, there was a man named Jeffrey Epstein who preyed on young women of lower socioeconomic class, and a large part of why they weren't listened to is because they were these girls are working class, they're drug addicts, they're juvenile delinquents.
Some of them were troubled. Yeah.
Well, of course they're troubled. They're being trafficked, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just like to point out that he had a partner who's about to be the president. So
yeah, he had a partner who's about to be the president. And let's not forget that the prosecutor that let Mr. Epstein off ended up, what was that, a cabinet member for?
Secretary of Labor, Alex Acosta.
There you go.
Funny that. Hey, let's get to the last clip because it relates to what you're talking about.
In my when I hear stories like this and I see things like this occurring, I look into the people who are involved. What I know about Elon Musk is that he has multiple accusations of sexual impropriety against him. What I know about Tommy Robinson is that he has a history of convictions for violence. Some of the influencers that are supporting Tommy Robinson, real name Stephen Yaxley, some of the people who are supporting him are the Tate brothers, who are currently being charged with crimes dealing with sexual impropriety and violence and trafficking of minors, etc. It seems to me that we have a wolf calling out, somebody's in the hen house, but really they're going to tear the entire thing apart. Do these people feel to you like any sort of credible sources, or does every single one of them have some sort of issue in their past?
I mean, I don't really see them as credible sources because they're failing to get to grips with the causes of male sexual violence against women and girls, which is misogyny. They're focusing on race as a driver of this kind of offending, when we know that it is not race that drives child sexual exploitation. It is gender. It is, it's a gendered crime. So, I mean, that's important to state. I think it's important as well to consider, as I said, which cases the far right is interested in. It's interested in these particular grooming gang scandals because it allows them to push their white genocide narrative. So the British NGO Hope Not Hate, which is an anti-racist organisation, has done some research and found that at least 20 members and supporters of Tommy Robinson's old organisation, the English Defence League, were convicted of child sexual exploitation offences. And some of those were active in the EDL while, Tommy Robinson was leading it. That's not to say that he condoned that behaviour. It's not to say that he was aware of it, but it's a case in point of men on the far right being involved in child sexual abuse while they're also claiming that this is a Muslim problem and has nothing to do with white men. Similarly, I think it's really important that we recognise how the far right completely went after feminists and Me Too, completely, tried to claim that it was a witch hunt against men, that it had gone too far, that the women who, accused powerful men of sexual abuse were all like playing the victim card and, all this nonsense about how they talked about Me Too. And it's really important to remember from my own experience that the far right has absolutely no compunctions of sending women rape threats on the internet. And the most of those rape threats are happening on Musk's platform. So, he runs a platform where rape threats against women journalists are incredibly common. It's also worth pointing out that Elon Musk is very close to Donald Trump. He's probably going to have a role in the administration. And as we know, a judge in New York found that the rape allegation made by E. Jean Carroll against Donald Trump was substantially true. So again, he doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Another example, sorry, I have so many of these, is this week, Andrew McIntyre, who was one of the ringleaders of the race riots in the summer in the UK, was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, which is a sentence that Musk criticised. And I'm going to read you something that McIntyre said, and I apologise because it is quite graphic. He said in a Telegram message, "I wish to let Redacted know that I intend to brutally violate her and then bleed her to death." So while Musk is criticising the fact that this man is going to prison for his actions in the summer and making these claims about how, Starmer is responsible for the rape of Britain and about grooming gangs, this is, the kind of person that he's defending. So it's very difficult to feel convinced that the far right takes men's violence against women and girls seriously when, as you say, in its own ranks, there are these individuals. And when people like Musk are happy to defend men who write horrible, rape threats against women, and will work with a man who was credibly found by
And I do need to clarify something.
Funny
I need
that.
to clarify something
Funny that.
because I hear a lot of people say Trump's not a rapist or he's adjudicated sexual assaulter. In 2012, the Department of Justice altered their reporting statistics for the crime of rape to include any penetration of any orifice with any part of the body or
I
object.
find this whole subject to be gross, and it's fucking rape.
It is, but it's
if
important because Donald Trump is a rapist. Period. End of fucking story.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
That's my
yes,
point.
Yes. Good. I agree. I just and like
we memory hole it all, and it's time to it's time to just call it what it is and use words appropriately, and it's past that time, I suppose.
It should be obvious to everyone by now that billionaires are engaged in a class war against the working class. And to do their war, they are utilizing cognitive warfare, psychological warfare, dissociative, traumatizing propaganda. They are utilizing liars. They're utilizing the media. They're utilizing sexual predators. They're utilizing violent criminals. They are laundering money for organized crime to do so, to pay these people to run operations against those of us who just want our children to grow up in a better world. It's about time we call it what it fucking is.
Yeah, I mean, it's yes, it's what it is. Honestly, is a little too late to call it what it is. Let's be real about it. On the other hand, the difference between this society is going to change. This country is going to change. There are going to be changes around the world that are going to be difficult to stomach. The question is, what is going to rise from that?
That's right.
The difference in whether that, will at least have a modicum of freedom and democracy and the things that we want is whether we do stand up in the meantime, whether we do tell the truth and have the guts to use the right words, to Hi-Fi's point.
Yeah.
The fear is the mind killer. Do not let it kill your
Yeah.
mind. Again, fear is a natural and normal response to these things. But what you need to do is let it happen, feel it, and then let it go. You have to let it go. If you try and hide from it, it's just going to eat you up. So, if you're afraid right now, you're being very rational. On the other hand, we ain't dead yet. So,
No, I ain't dead
take
yet.
a deep breath and let's fucking go.
That's right. I will not obey in advance, and I will not lose my humanity. Not for nothing.
I think I'd like to paraphrase Terry Pratchett for the final words of this episode. Don't be scared. Be angry.